So you are out there, you are on the field dating, and you are hot and you are young and you've got lots of prospects, obviously. But maybe you're feeling like, every Thanksgiving that passes by where your mom is asking you when you're going to bring home somebody special, and you maybe don't have anybody to take to, your friend's wedding. And you've said to yourself, I'm ready to get serious. I'm ready to find the love of my life. And now that you've made that decision, well, you want it to happen right away, right? I'm not talking about you hauling. Lesbians, I'm talking to you. What I'm trying to say is that if you're in a place where you're looking for a life partner, you need to make sure that that person is compatible with you on all the levels, including money. Now, if you're watching my channel, you've probably got your life together and are working towards, making it even better and reaching your financial goals. And how do you figure that out about somebody else when it's rude to talk about money, especially on the first couple of dates? Well, friends, I got your back. I have been out there myself. I have tested the fields. I have done the financial experiments on all of the dates. And I can tell you about some financial red flags that I have discovered that tend to tell me a lot about how a person deals with their money. And the best part is, you don't have to ask them any money questions whatsoever. They're going to tell you. They're just, maybe not going to know they're telling you. I'm Melissa Ford. Welcome to Damsel of Success, where we talk about all things money. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and please hit the bell to be notified when I post a new video.
So apparently I ended up having a lot more to say on this topic than I thought, and this video ended up being super long. So I split it up into two parts. This is part 1, and I'll put a link to part 2 at the end of this video and in the description below. So let's get right into it.
So this is a really important topic that I wanted to talk about for a while. I just want to be really super clear, first of all, that this is not one of those videos where I'm going to teach you how to get all the money out of a dude or a lady or whatever. We are not talking about how to, milk somebody's financial bank accounts for your own selfish benefit. That is not what we're discussing today. When I am saying that you need to kind of evaluate somebody as a partner in terms of their money, these are my criteria, and your criteria may be different, but these are mine. Number 1, I want to know that they don't spend outside of their means. I want them to be able to handle their own expenses and nothing more. Someone's credit score is a lot more important to me than how much they make every year. I also want somebody who has a mindset of growth, not just about their money, but about their whole life. All in all, I just want somebody that respects their own money, that, is capable of having a mature conversation about money eventually and can tackle problems head on when they come. Because we all know, money lives aren't perfect. There are going to be good days and bad days when it comes to your money. And when you're looking for a life partner, you want somebody who's going to stand by your side and be able to solve those problems with you. I'm not saying that somebody has to be completely problem-free. Definitely not. But I am saying that I want to be with somebody who is strong enough to tackle the problems that may get hurled at us in our lives. Red flag number 1. They do not offer to split the bill for dinner. Now, I know we're in the middle of a, Panda Express or whatever it is we're calling it these days. But hopefully at some point you're going to be able to enjoy a meal together outside in the world. Normal dating people date. And when that happens, you better believe that I am paying attention to whether or not they offer to split the bill. Now, being a Ladala bean, it is a little bit more expected that you would go Dutch, or that the person who invites the other person would pay, something along those lines. And it's more standard to do that than when you're in, a male-female relationship, where oftentimes the guy gets placed with the burden of being expected to pay. So this applies to you too, dudes. If you are out on a date with a woman, I don't care how pretty she is. If she isn't offering to pay for her part of the meal, then that's a red flag to me. because it would indicate to me that they are the kind of person who's going to expect you to pay for everything. There's a really good chance that that kind of pattern would continue throughout your whole life. So if you're okay with being the person who takes care of the finances and you want to have a sugar baby, well, by all means, get yourself a sugar baby. But I am not that person. And so it is very important to me that on the first date, they offer to split the bill. Red flag number 2, they don't follow through on money commitments. Now, this one can be a little bit harder to judge, but just know that if it's showing up in the first couple of dates, it's going to be a real bad issue moving forward. So what am I talking about here? Well, I'm talking about, somebody who says that, they're going to treat you to a movie, and then you get there and they only bought one ticket for themselves and say, hey, why don't you go get yours? It's okay if that's the expectation. But if they're setting up an expectation that they're going to treat and then they don't, that to me is an indicator that they are not following through on their money commitments. To me, this is just a sign that their word when it comes to money isn't necessarily trustworthy. And that's something that you should expect long term. People show you who they are pretty early, and this is one of those ways. If they're not following through on their money commitments with you in small ways, what's going to happen when you buy a house and you're planning to split the mortgage and all of a sudden you find that bill is 100% on your shoulders? If you're okay with that, then by all means continue dating a person who doesn't follow through on their money commitments. But if not, maybe it's time to move on. Red flag number 3, and it is all about tipping a server. I know that this is like a really kind of oldie but goodie, to the point where I'm honestly shocked that people don't at least just fake it when they're out. How do you not know that people are judging you based on how you treat a server when you're out on a date? Everybody should know that by now. And the fact that there are still people out there who treat servers, terribly when you're out on a date is shocking to me, but it absolutely happens. So that's why it's one of those really early warning signs that you're with somebody that's not super cool. But particularly when we're talking about tipping, I think it says a lot about how they handle money. You might find that someone is really stingy with a tip, and that leads me to think that they might be a little bit entitled, because we all know that servers do not make practically anything without our tips. So if you are going out and expecting service and not tipping enough, well, that makes me think that you expect someone else to foot the bill for your experience. It also might reflect that they're poor at planning, because maybe they took you out to a restaurant and did not include the tip in their calculations for how much things were going to cost. So that's where they decided to cut corners, which is completely unfair. Frankly, I don't know how waiters and waitresses do their jobs every day. And to think that there are people out there who don't tip a fair amount, that's just craziness. There's also another extreme to this, and I like this one a lot better, but it is one that's a little bit of a warning sign. If somebody leaves a super, super extravagant tip without a good reason, they might be trying to show you their generosity, and they might be really generous. To me, I interpret, drastic over tipping as a little bit of a sign of insecurity on a date. And that's because they, to me, are saying, hey, I don't value myself. I need to prove my value by spending money on you. And if that's a common way that they show their value, it's just something to be aware of about them. It's not necessarily problematic, and it might resolve once they feel more comfortable with you. But it does show that they are willing to use money as a status symbol and to impress other people. So when it comes to taking the boss out to dinner, I think you could probably expect the same thing to happen. So what does under tipping mean? I'm going to say that the appropriate tip level that you should be prepared to pay any server for adequate service is 20%. Anything below that I feel is unfair to the server, and anything above, say, 30% feels kind of extravagant unless there are extenuating circumstances that they've really, really gone above and beyond. I'm not saying that you shouldn't do that. I'm certainly not saying that. Like, if you're the kind of person who just loves to spread joy with your money and you're dating that kind of person, that's kind of cool too, as long as it's within your means. So I'm certainly not telling you to tip less. That's not the message here. Do not take that as a takeaway. But I am saying it's an indicator of how a person behaves with their money. Red flag number 4, your financial values don't seem to line up. So how can you tell this early on in a date? I think asking a question about someone's hopes or dreams for the future is a really good way to judge this. What are they talking about when they talk about their future? Are they talking about taking some amazing trips? Like, that's what they hope to do. Are they talking about buying the house of their dreams? Are they talking about owning a spectacular car? That is an easy way for you to kind of judge what's important to them financially. And if that doesn't line up with your values, it might be a point of conflict in your relationship. I kind of approach finances in a relationship as my money is my money, your money is your money, and we both have choices about what we're going to do with that. As long as we're both jointly contributing to expenses that apply to both of us, such as rent or mortgage, utilities, that kind of thing, then beyond that, I don't want to have a huge influence over what my partner decides to do with their money. And I don't expect someone to have that kind of influence over my money. So that's the way that I approach things. And in that scenario, I think that frees you up a lot to avoid this kind of a conflict, because if you are capable of reaching your own dreams with your own money, well, then it doesn't really matter what your partner wants to spend money on, because it doesn't affect you. You're still your own person. You're still capable of getting what you want out of your life and out of your money. But I also know that not everybody approaches money in a relationship that way. And frankly, I wouldn't expect everybody to approach money the same way in a relationship. So just know that if you are more of a person who likes to join your finances together, where everything is our money, then you might want to really pay attention to this one in terms of your values around money matching up. Otherwise, there is inevitably going to be conflict about whether you buy the house or whether you go on a vacation. That's just the way it is. We all value different things in our life, and that is going to be a part of your relationship moving forward.
So that's it for part 1 of this video. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked this video, please hit the like button. And if you loved this video, please hit subscribe. There is a lot more where this came from, so please check the link above or in the description below for part 2.
That's all I have for you today. I hope you have a wonderful week. I will see you next week. Bye for now.